You wanted real talk, and this is where you'll hear it. Uninhibited by the toxic influences of cancel culture, unvarnished and unfettered, unencumbered by the censorship of traditional radio, uncontaminated by big media interests.
And now, Sherman Unlimited.
Everybody is watching the trucker rebellion or so-called freedom rally now. Why? Easy. Because it really hasn't got much to do with trucking other than in the way it connects to refusing to be vaccinated in order to cross the border. I think that was the match that lit the fire, but I'm not buying that reason in any kind of totality. I believe that vaccine mandates, which I myself favored for quite a while, are a sign of something many people don't like, and that's being told what we're going to do by a prime minister and a government that sits in office, frankly, by default. So truckers and their convergence on Ottawa Saturday are emblematic of something beyond vaccine refusal. To me, they are surrogate protesters for a huge number of very angry Canadians who just plain don't like the way they are governed and feel powerless to sweep the mess holding the keys right the hell out of office. If you like the way Trudeau is handling things, please give your head a shake. If you think I should give mine a shake, allow me to quote the aforementioned Mr. Trudeau to you, because he has many quotes attributed to him that need to be thrown back in his face right now. Let's begin with this. Quote, "When I get out across the country and listen to people, the resentment that I see and the frustration that I see is that we have a generation of people who are fairly convinced that their kids are not going to have a better quality of life or a better future than they will." Unquote. Justin, look around you. Have we made any headway on that? There is no question that all parents want that for their kids. Always have, always will. It's human nature. Do my kids have that? Do yours? In most cases, where we've had to work for a living, as in the majority, no. Quote number 2 from Justin Trudeau. "My idea of freedom is that we should protect the rights of people to believe what their conscience dictates, but fight equally hard to protect people from having the beliefs of others imposed upon them." I can hardly believe he said that not so long ago and is doing what he's doing now. You look at the news and you hear what our prime minister says and you see what he does while still couching everything in his patented virtue signaling cloak. There's an old expression, never bullshit a bullshitter. I have a detector in my brain, and that's what we've been getting from Ottawa since 2015. I'm tired of it, especially in times like these, and clearly I'm not alone. In fact, we all directly feel the results of his decisions. Does he listen to what you want? If your idea of freedom, Justin Trudeau, is to fight hard to protect people from having to accept beliefs from others imposed on them, have you reflected recently on whether one of the others to whom you refer may be you? And finally, this Justin Trudeau quote. "We know that trade, NAFTA, the free and open trade between Canada and the U.S., creates millions of good jobs on both sides of the border." He said that, obviously, during the NAFTA negotiations a couple of years back. Now, our own country has built a significant roadblock to trade, and so have the Americans. Are the truck drivers or any other frequent border crossers the cause of COVID? No. Do Canadians like iceberg lettuce enough to pay $5 or $7 a head? Ask them if they think $20 a pound beef is affordable. Better yet, do you believe Canadians prefer doing without many fruits and vegetables? At this time of year, the strawberries and blueberries, the lettuce and celery and corn, the melons and pears. Not the ones from cold warehouses holding last fall's harvest, the ones that come from hot climates where it's growing season now and where truckers pick up and deliver cross-border. Meanwhile, fuel costs a fortune courtesy of the taxes you've applied to it. The maintenance of the rigs is expensive, and you say unvaxxed truckers will not cross the border despite the fact that science has told us unvaxxed or vaxxed are both capable of being COVID carriers. Who are you protecting now, and at what cost? Those questions in particular can be asked of truckers, but more importantly, they can be asked of everyone. Who got the CERB and the Qs and other supplementary income programs you created by printing monopoly money? How did you convince people to take those handouts without saying that it was nothing more than an advance on tax payments and on future earnings, an advance on what the recipients and others would pay back through increased and increasing costs on everything because you inflated the money supply dramatically? You, the Prime Minister, who also said, and I quote, "The relationship between Canada and the United States serves as a model for the world. Our shared values, deep cultural ties, and strong integrated economies will continue to provide the basis for advancing our strong and prosperous partnership." I agree with that quote, but you have to walk the talk. If you shut the door on transport and deprive us of the goods we require, notably in seasons where we cannot produce them ourselves, how are you fostering those ties? It's clear you didn't see eye to eye with Donald Trump, but the relationship has apparently not improved under Joe Biden. And let's be honest, they will not notice the diminution of Canadian goods flowing into the United States anywhere near as much or as quickly as we will notice the paucity of their products entering Canada. And here we are. Canadians are not ignorant. They may not use fancy words, look great on TV, or have a trust fund to keep them insulated from today's harsh realities for the rest of their lives. But Canadians aren't stupid. No wonder you wanted an untimely election. And look at the choices we got. I'm a conservative with lots of room for opposing ideologies. One could have voted for Aaron O'Toole, a sincere guy who wouldn't and won't take solid and necessary hard positions on subjects Canadians care about. There's Jagmeet Singh, a nice guy as well, who touts an even greater amount of largesse than you, talks the Socialist Party line better than anyone, but finds it possible to drive fancy cars, wear the finest of threads, and receive $2,000 gifts, but remember only when discovered that that was wrong, so he's prepared to write a check. This was our choice last fall. I know plenty of self-described liberals who didn't bother voting or voted for you and then loudly complained that they had no choice. In short, we know who you are.
We have recently switched to drinking water bottles out of water out of when we have water bottles out of plastic. Away from plastic towards paper, like drink box water bottles, sort of things.
So you're the guy in office. You called an election, and the results are the same. Even liberal faithful I speak to tell me they voted for you, but are sorry for it because you're not dependable and you don't really have their best interests at heart. So if that's true, and I think it is, you shouldn't wonder why thousands of truckers are driving an aggregate of millions of miles to tell you they aren't happy. Ask yourself why so many Canadians are cheering them on and hoping Ottawa and the National Capital Region are literally blockaded. The truckers are speaking more broadly for Canada than they are about getting vaxxed or not. I'm pretty sure some of them, like me, have gotten 3 shots. They just happen to be people who value freedom. We have always had freedom in Canada where our bodies are concerned. Contrary to what some think or verbalize, you can legally withdraw your child from all vaccination programs and get the withdrawal forms notarized to present to your kids' schools. That's acceptable. Why then do you think that browbeating and punishing the unvaxxed is fair? You know as well as anyone who pays attention that the promise was to deal with COVID via vaccines and that north of 80% vaccination would afford us herd immunity. It didn't, and it won't. We also have science that tells us that transmission of COVID is as easily achieved from vaxxed people as from unvaxxed people. I believe what the Freedom Rally is about has a lot more to do with our collective freedom than simply whether or not truckers can freely cross the border. And I also believe that as a country, we are not in better shape than we were. I believe that politics is using some but not all of the science as a stick. And I believe further that far too many adults are now having sleepless nights or sitting with their partners tearfully at the kitchen table once the kids are in bed, trying to figure out how to manage. Your job is to assist them with that, not to take a bow for handing out money we didn't have to many who didn't need it. Your job was to lead, not to call vaccine-reluctant people names. I believe that this weekend will show many Canadians what is really happening in our country, that your minority government had better remember exactly what minority means. I'm Peter Sherman. Find future episodes wherever you find your favorite podcasts, or by visiting SHURMANUNLIMITED.com. So if you like what you heard, tell a friend. If you really liked it, tell 3 friends. If you really hated it, tell 3 enemies. We'll talk again soon.